Today we are going to create our first project using Visual Studio. We'll be also talking about the architecture of a C# application or a C# project created by Visual Studio. When we create a new project, Visual Studio will create some files or organize our files in different folders. So we'll be mostly talking about what are the purposes and what are different files created by Visual Studio. So in order to create a project in Visual Studio, when you open the Visual Studio IDE application, a window like this will pop up. We'll be clicking on create a new project. Again, guys, do not get overwhelmed by seeing a list of different type of projects here. Visual Studio is a very powerful IDE through which we can develop different type of softwares, and we can select from this long list. Don't get overwhelmed, guys. We are not going to talk about everything at this moment. What we are going to be using throughout this course is the simple console applications. We will be creating console applications and we will learn the C# concepts in console application. So what basically a console application is, it is a simple type of application without graphical user interface. Basically, a console application or a console is a very wonderful tool for learning purposes. Once we learn the main concepts in C# using console application, then it will be very easy for us to create GUI applications, web application, mobile applications, etc. So throughout this course, we'll be creating console applications. In order to create a console application in Visual Studio, we'll be searching here. If you don't see the list here, just you can search console here. Once you wrote console, a list of different console applications supported by Visual Studio will pop up. The one in which we are interested is this one. We'll be creating console app.NET framework. So select this one. As we can see here, it's gonna be in C#. Here, guys, we can select the language that we are going to be using for our development. Since in this course we will be using C#, I have selected C# here. And here it shows the different platforms for which we can develop our application. We can develop applications for Linux operating system, for Android platform, for Mac operating system, etc. So we will leave this drop down as all platform. And these are, here it shows different type of softwares or application we can create using Visual Studio. We can create console application, desktop application, IoT application, etc. So we are not going to touch this. Also, we'll be leaving this all project type and select console app.NET framework. Then go to the next page. The next page will be the project configuration page where we can give a name to our project. Here, whatever name you guys like. So for this one, we'll be giving my first C# application. And this is the location where our project will be stored. And if you guys want to change the location, you can click on this three dot and browse a different folder and location within your computer. So for this video, I'm going to leave the location as default. And the next important thing about creating a project using Visual Studio is the concept of solution. In Visual Studio, we have the concept of solution. A solution basically is like a container that contains one or more projects. When we develop small projects, we might have only one project within a solution. So basically, when we create a new project using Visual Studio, it will create one project and one solution for us. As our application grows, we might have different projects added in our solution. We can add DDLs and reference them to our project. So as we go through, guys, we will be learning how to create multiple projects within a solution and how can we reference our project to different DDLs and how can we use different DDLs in our project. So for right now, just think about a solution as a container that it contains different projects. If we have our mouse over this I button, it shows a solution is a container for one or more project in a Visual Studio. As we said, as our software development grows, we might have different project each for a specific task, and we can put all these projects within one solution. And when we run the executable, so all the project within that solution will be executed. In order to create the project, click on the create button here. It's gonna create our first project in Visual Studio. And the most important section here that we will be using is the Solution Explorer. And if you guys don't see the Solution Explorer in your window, you can go to View here and click on Solution Explorer. It will show the Solution Explorer. The very most part of this project or the window we'll be using throughout this course is this Solution Explorer and also this code editing area. Do not get overwhelmed by seeing these other stuff. So most of the time we'll not be using all of them. So what is a Solution Explorer? It basically contains the information and the files related to our project. Here we can see the name of our project. If we click under the name of project, we have different sections. In properties, we have a file assemblyinfo.cs. If we double click on this file, basically what is this file all about? It provides information about our assembly or project. For example, we can give a title to our project or assembly. We can give a description about our assembly, a different company name, different other information, copyright. We can also down here put a version to our assembly. So basically we don't have to worry about this file at the moment. It is basically when we want to create an assembly and we want to distribute it to others. In this file we provide extra information for other users. For this course we'll not be using this. If you guys want to know more about this file, you can read this comment section here. It provides good information. So the next section we have the reference section. This is all the files or the assemblies required in our project in order to run and get the job done. By default, when we create our project, the Visual Studio will import or reference our project to these default assemblies. We can also import external assemblies to our project and reference our main project to different assemblies and different projects. So the list of different projects referenced will be appeared here. So these are the default assemblies created by Visual Studio. For example, we have system assembly. System.data assembly is used when we want to connect our project to database. So these are different assemblies. The next file is app.config. So basically this is an XML file where we can provide configuration about our project. Things like a connection string to database, connection details to external services, application settings, and other details needed in order to run our project. Again, guys, as a beginner, you're not expected to know about everything here. It was just a brief explanation. As we go through the course, you'll be learning about everything. So the most important file you need to know within the project is the program.cs file. So what basically .cs means .c#. Every C# file will have the extension of the .cs means it's a C# file. So most of the time we'll be working with this file where we can write our codes. All our codes will be written in this file. Also we can create extra .cs files, and we put a different section of our code, different classes in different files, so we can organize our code in different files. So what basically this file includes is when we create our project, this default code will be created by Visual Studio. So we'll be talking about each and every line of code. What are these and what are the purposes of different lines here. So basically, these parts are the default namespaces included in our project. So what basically a namespace is, think of a namespace as like a container that contains different related classes. For example, in order to use collections and different collections and generics in our project, we have to use the system namespace. From the system namespace, we have to include the collection.generic in our project. And also when we create the project, Visual Studio will create a namespace for us, same as our project name. So as we said, namespace is a container within a block of code. So this is specifies a block of code. Inside this block of code or inside this container, we can have bunch of classes. A namespace basically contains bunch of related classes. We can group or organize our classes within a namespace. Then Visual Studio will create a class for us called program. And if you guys don't know what a class is, don't worry. When we reach the concept of object-oriented programming, we'll be discussing in detail what a class is and how we can create a class. So for the moment, just think of a class as a container that it contains data, and also it contains methods or behaviors about an object. Think of class as an object. The object has both behaviors and attributes. So within the class, we can have different methods and functions, and also we can have different variables or data about the object. So the next important piece of code that's created by Visual Studio is the main method. What basically the main method is, it is the starting point of our project. When we run our project, so the CLR basically searches for the main method and start execution of our project from the main method. So this is the signature of the main method. We'll be learning what static means and what is void, and this is the name of the function, what is inside this bracket. So basically a function takes an input and produces an output. Then the next important thing is that main function in C# always begins with capital M. C# is also case sensitive, means that main with a capital M with the small n with lower n is not the same. Then this is the argument list of arguments of a function, means that the function can take inputs using the list of arguments. Again, guys, when we reach the discussion of functions, we will in detail discuss everything, the syntax of creating a function and what does the signature of the function means. Again, function contains a group of statements or line of code that we can put within the block or within the curly braces. So let's keep going, and the first thing that we are going to do is to print a simple message on the console. In order to print a message in the console in C#, we write console.writeLine, and inside this function we pass the message or the string that we are going to print. This is my first C#. So basically this is a statement in C#, this line of code, and each statement in C# must terminate with a semicolon. So this console is a class that comes from the system namespace, and you guys see that when we use a class from any system, any namespace, the color of the namespace becomes brighter, and the namespaces that we haven't used so far, the colors are darker and more grayish. So basically console is a class, and its job is to print a message on the window, on the console window, and also to get user input from window. So this class comes from this namespace, and this class contains a method or a function called writeLine. So basically the writeLine function takes an argument and puts the argument out to the console application. In order to run the simple C# program, you can simply click on this start button here, or you can press F5 on the keyboard. As we saw, a black window, a console window popped up and very quickly closed. So basically what C# did, it started the execution of this simple program. It printed this message on the console and terminated the console window. In order to keep the console window open, we write console dot read line. So basically, again, inside the console class, we have a readline function. What basically the readline function does is it will wait for the user to input a line of code and press enter, then it will close the window, or it will continue execution after this line. So let's run our project again. As we can see, it prints our message on the console window. So the other function we have to print a message on the console is using the write function, console.write. So basically this is an other message. So basically what the difference between a write line function and a write function is that a write line function, after printing this message, it will also print a new line. But the write function will print this message, but it doesn't print a new line. If we have another console dot write function, so let's see, code hub. So basically these two messages will be printed in same line. Since write function does not print a new line, this two messages will be printed on same line. As we can say there, after printing the first message, the write function did not print a new line, but the write line function, after printing its message, it would also add a new line and start from the second line. The other concept you need to know in this video, guys, is adding comments to our code. In order to add comment in our code, we use the double /. This is a comment. So comments are basically the extra information that we can provide to explain our code. So this line of code will be ignored by compiler and this will not be executed. Basically, the commenting is, or the documentation of our code is used to provide extra information to other users or other developers in our team. So that's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and see you in the next video. Thank you.